Only I have my story. I know the truth.
And it was a party, big party, so we met there.
I will not give you my number. So if you give me your numbers, I will call you.
The Jeffrey Epstein story, one of the most disturbing and complex scandals of the modern era, has once again forced its way back into headlines. Every time it does, it brings with it a tangle of unanswered questions, decades-old rumors, and fresh speculation. Each time people try to piece together the puzzle, more unexpected connections appear, and the web grows more tangled. One of those connections is both surprising and controversial. A link that, some allege, stretches between Melania Trump, before she became First Lady, and Jeffrey Epstein. It's a claim that demands careful handling, because while certain facts are documented, others come from conflicting accounts, whispers from insiders, and statements that have never been proven in court. To understand this story, we have to rewind. Back in the early 1990s, long before the White House, long before her marriage to Donald Trump, Melania Knaus was just a teenager in what was then Yugoslavia. Her childhood in Sevnica was a world away from the luxury and political spotlight she would one day know. By the age of 16, Melania had entered the modeling world, a competitive, often unforgiving industry. She soon found work in Milan and Paris, making the leap from small-town Slovenia to Europe's fashion capitals. Then came 1996, the year that changed her life. A man named Paolo Zampoli, a modeling agent and businessman with connections in both fashion and high-end real estate, invited her to New York City. Zampoli not only sponsored her immigration, but also provided her with work opportunities and arranged for her to live with fashion photographer Matthew Atanian. Here's where the details start to blur. Reports suggest Melania entered the U.S. on a visitor visa, a visa that did not allow her to legally work. Despite this, she is said to have taken on about 10 modeling jobs during that period. For context, T models start their careers in their late teens or early 20s. Melania was already 26, older than most newcomers in the field, but still at the very beginning of her U.S. career. Eventually, Zampoli helped secure her the correct work visa. One of her first major breaks came when she was cast in a Camel Cigarettes campaign photographed by Ellen von Unwerth. The ad was high-profile enough to appear on a Times Square billboard and in Rolling Stone magazine, a milestone Melania has publicly said she's proud of. But this isn't just about modeling. It's about the network behind it. At the time, Zampoli still owned ID Models, the agency that brought Melania to the US. And ID Models wasn't just focused on fashion. According to some sources, the agency also played a role in selling luxury properties, bringing models into the orbit of wealthy, influential men. And it was in those overlapping circles, fashion, real estate, and high society, where the paths of Melania, Donald Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein allegedly began to cross. The story of how Melania met Trump has more than one version. Zampoli claims he personally introduced them at a party during New York Fashion Week in 1998. Melania herself says it happened at a large fashion party where Trump, still married to Marla Maples, attended with Norwegian heiress Selena Middelfart. Despite being with someone else, Trump reportedly asked Melania for her phone number. She refused, telling him to give her his numbers instead so she could decide whether to call him. But in a twist, Epstein once claimed he introduced Melania to Trump, suggesting he knew her first. Zampoli publicly denied that in 2019, and Melania's own account leaves both men out entirely. Michael Wolff, author of Fire and Fury, later claimed Melania was more involved in Epstein's social world than the public realized. He suggested she may have met Trump through mutual connections tied to a modeling agency linked to both Trump and Epstein. Epstein knew her well, Wolff stated in an interview. Politico also reported that Zampoli, the same man who brought Melania to the U.S., had ties to both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Adding to the intrigue, there's almost no verifiable public record of Melania's personal life before Trump. It's as if her history was deliberately wiped clean, whether for privacy, protection, or another reason entirely. In audio recordings made by Wolff before Epstein's death, Epstein allegedly hinted that Trump and Melania may have first been intimate on his infamous private jet, the Lolita Express. This is an unproven and highly sensitive allegation, but it's one that has been repeated enough to make it part of the public conversation. What we do know for certain is that Trump and Epstein were not strangers. Their friendship spanned decades. They moved in the same elite circles, splitting time between New York and Palm Beach. Photos place them together at Mar-a-Lago, in Epstein's lavish Manhattan townhouse, and at exclusive social gatherings. In a 2002 interview with New York Magazine, Trump called Epstein a terrific guy, and added the infamous remark that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. NBC footage from 1992 shows the two men at Mar-a-Lago, pointing out women on the dance floor as if they were making selections. That same year, Trump reportedly hosted a calendar girl event. Here, according to organizer George Horaney, 28 models arrived expecting a big audience, but found only two men, Trump and Epstein. By 2004, the friendship appeared to have cooled, possibly due to both men vying for the same Palm Beach real estate. date. By the time Epstein was arrested in 2019, Trump insisted he hadn't spoken to him in years and claimed, "I was not a fan." Trump has repeatedly denied ever visiting Epstein's private island or engaging in his criminal activities. Yet, flight logs suggest Trump traveled on Epstein's jet multiple times, 7 flights in total, according to records. Virginia Giuffre, an Epstein survivor who tragically took her own life in April 2025, testified that she was working at Mar-a-Lago as a locker room attendant when Maxwell recruited her. Former model Stacey Williams told The Guardian that Epstein took her to Trump's Fifth Avenue penthouse in 1993 and encouraged Trump to grope her, a claim Trump denies. And there are the 2017 tapes. In these recordings, Epstein described himself as one of Trump's closest friends for a decade, portraying Trump as woman-obsessed, abrasive with staff, and socially isolated except for a small inner circle that included his daughter Ivanka, his secretary, and a bodyguard. He even claimed Trump once boasted about sleeping with the wives of his closest friends. Trump's campaign team has rejected these claims outright. Caroline Leavitt, his former press secretary, called the stories false smears and accused Michael Wolff of fabricating accounts for political purposes. At the heart of it all is a tangle of overlapping timelines, contradictory testimonies, and missing information. Was Melania's early career purely the result of modeling talent and lucky breaks, or was it shaped by a deeper network of connections that also linked her to Epstein? That question, and the secrecy surrounding it, is why people continue digging. Some see a string of coincidences. Others believe there's a hidden chapter in the Trump-Epstein story that the public hasn't been told. One thing is certain: until every detail is brought to light, this will remain one of the most controversial and speculated connections in modern political history.